Hello and welcome to the MJCast. It's Sunday, the 19th of April, and today we've got a great episode lined up for you guys to listen to. We've got another special episode, and for all of you new listeners out there to the MJCast, you might be wondering, why are there special episodes of this Michael Jackson podcast? Well, the answer is really simple. We love interacting with people that knew Michael, worked with him professionally, and had a lot to do with him. We love documenting Michael Jackson's history, the impact he had on the world and his legacy. And today we've got a very, very special guest. This is somebody who's a guitarist who's been playing guitar for his whole life. He's worked with Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, the Jacksons, Beyonce, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, Usher, Ray Charles, just to name a few, and many more. We are lucky enough to have Mr. Tommy Organ. Tommy, how you going?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm just so happy that you can be here. I want to start off by saying thank you so much, Tommy, for being a part of the MJCast and being here to talk with us about your experience as a guitarist professionally and your time with Michael Jackson.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm honored. I'm glad you have me.
That's all good. Now, I guess we'll start off just by letting the listeners know, and I'm sure there's probably hardly any Michael Jackson fans out there that don't know this, but you actually worked with the King of Pop during mid-2009, didn't you, in those rehearsal periods for This Is It?
Yes, and they were awesome. It was an honor and such a great experience to work with the King of Pop, Mr. MJ Jackson. He's one of the most kindest, humblest person that I've ever worked with in my 30-year career. Yes.
Just absolutely phenomenal. And just watching you on screen, I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen This Is It, but it would have to be upwards of probably 30 times at this point. I went and saw it at the cinema on its opening night on the Gold Coast, Australia.
All right.
It was incredible. Like some of those parts of the film where you're up there playing guitar with Michael, especially at the start, Want to Be Starting Something, Jam. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant.
Oh, I thank you for that. Yes.
That's okay. And as a guitarist myself, I play guitar, definitely not professionally or anything like that, but just seeing your work on guitar was just blew me away.
I appreciate you, buddy.
That's all good. Now, I just want to make it clear for our listeners as well at this point that even though we are going to be talking about This Is It and that whole period, we are definitely going to keep this interview positive and focused on those positive questions. We know a lot of you guys out there might have questions about how that whole period ended up, and there's a lot of resources out there for you guys to go and learn about that. But today we're going to keep it all about the music and the positivity.
Okay.
Now, I just want to take you back, Tommy, because I think we should start this interview right off at the very beginning. I want to find out when you started playing guitar and why. What was it about guitar that drew you to that instrument?
Well, like when I was young, my father used to play guitar for a group called the Turbineers, which was actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was the OJs before they became the OJs. They were called the Turbineers, and he used to have his guitar around the house and stuff. And when I put my eyes on the guitar, it caught my eye and caught my attention. And I was amazed at what does this do? So one day I picked it up and I started playing it, and I actually put my hands where they were supposed to be and started playing notes on the guitar. And it's like a God-given talent, a God-given thing that was given to me, and I recognized it at an early age.
That's cool. And as you were growing in your youth and getting better and better at the guitar and improving, who were the artists that inspired you artistically to improve?
I used to listen to B.B. King. I listened to Robin Trower. I listened to a little of Hendrix. Then I started getting into Neil Schon from Journey and Angus from AC/DC. And then I went to Al Di Meola, Stanley Clarke, Raymond Gomez, Lee Ritenour, Larry Carlton. And what I would do is I would play the records and learn the solos from the records. And then I would apply those exact solos to like when I was in high school, I was jamming. I used to jam with a lot of local friends in the neighborhood, and then I would apply those same solos and find the key through my ear, find the key of the songs and play that exact solo in a different key. And I found like, okay, this is how this works. You find the key and you play what you know, and then I would put my own feel with what I've learned from the records, and then as I grew, I started just like not listening to records and gathering all the information that I've gathered. I just put a feel to the notes and find the key and use the same method as who I was with my instrument. It changed the way it felt and the way it sounded far as note wise, and it was very exciting to me. It's like, okay, now I'm on my way to something that's gonna make it my own, because there's only so many notes you can play on any string instruments, keyboards. There's only so many notes, and it's all about how you play that one note. If it's one note, B.B. King can play a one note his way. I could play it my way, and it will be the same but different at the same time. It's like your mind and your heart speaks through your hands, So as I grew, I say, well, I have enough notes and enough knowledge to, know how to apply the notes, and so just make it my own. It's like natural once again. It all just came to me like that. I just really enjoy playing guitar. Playing the guitar, it soothes my soul to where I don't think about nothing else but lights and the guitar. It just takes away everything, any doubts, any issues I'm going through in my life that we may all have, that we do have. It just takes everything away. And once I got to that level, I was on my way, basically, and I knew it, I guess, subconsciously as a young kid, that this is what I'm going to be doing, So it still today, it's such a venture and it's such a pleasure when I pick up the guitar to play it. It soothes me in a way that I really can't explain how it feels. It just feels great. It feels awesome. It feels like I'm supposed to be doing this. So, now it's about the knowledge and growing and learning life, and an overall perspective, learning how to live my life, who I actually am, comes through now. So now I can just pick it up and just whatever you want to play, let's play it, and we gonna have fun with it. And that's basically it right now, Like Michael say, this is yes.
This is it. That's right. I mean, that's a great answer. Thank you, Tommy. And I've got another one that I just thought of right now. It's you were talking a little bit about your influences as you were growing up in terms of guitar. Obviously, with the Jacksons, with Tito Jackson playing guitar, lead guitar, and then even through Michael's solo career as well, having worked with people like Van Halen and Slash. I mean, were you, before you got to work with Michael, were you in tune with what was going on in his career and listening to those guitar pieces on his music as well?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Because, see, during my high school years, I used to be a DJ, and I used to play Michael stuff all the time, dance to it and stuff. So I was always in tune with the Jacksons, even as a kid. Going back to the 5, 6, 7-year-old, I used to watch their cartoon series on TV, and something about them really inspired me and excited me. And Michael, as a young kid, during that same time, he was always so talented and always like doing his best to sing and get the notes out and making it strong. Like it was like he's too young to know how to feel this way, but he had a gift also. So when I used to see him sing, man, it was like he meant what he was singing about. Whether he dreamt about something or was dealing with something within the family, he was just a natural, So
Absolutely.
yeah, I always kept up with good people, talented people like this, like that, because like my grandfather, at my early age, he used to play sax with alto sax with Dizzy Gillespie and Duke Ellington. And he used to teach me a lot of things and give me knowledge on Quincy Jones. And this is what you want to sound like. This is how you produce records. This is the way to go. So I was always kind of like blessed to be around talented and real people, even in my family. So I could recognize true talent at a young age and say to myself, "This is what I want to be like. This is what I want to do."
Yeah,
It's like,
absolutely.
yeah. No one in my family, especially my grandfather, since he was a real musician, he always told me the truth about what's going on. He say when you listen to songs and you learning these guitar parts, it doesn't matter whether it's country, it doesn't matter whether it's pop, it doesn't matter whether it's R&B, blues. If you like it, learn it. And I think that's what's keeping me going still today, because like I have a rock record that will be that we're trying to release in 2016, and early part of 2016, and I'm only able to do rock and sing because I did listen to rock and did listen to Van Halen's and did listen to blues and different styles. So yeah, man, it was all open for me. The world is the sky's the limit for me.
I mean, that's really exciting, and we're going to get to that a little bit later, talking about this work you got coming out in 2016.
Right.
What's your opinion on this fusion of genres? Like, you were talking a little bit about playing rock and different genres. Like, what's your opinion on hip hop and country and rock and all these different genres fusing?
Right. Well, like I say, like all music is okay. I mean, like I say, I like to keep up on what's going on nowadays also. Whether I like it or not, I have this attitude of always getting good out of everything. So, if something that I don't like is sitting number one on top of the chart, it's something about that song that's doing that, whether it's the person, whether it's the song, the music, is something. So we can all gather something from something we don't like, especially in the music industry, because it's just what it is, and it has changed a lot, but I haven't been like one of the guys or musicians that say, oh, well, this music has changed and it's not good anymore. And, there's no place for me here no more, because if we actually sit down and dissect this new stuff, man, it's really not complicated at all, which makes it easier for someone that knows how to do that's a true musician. So I find that listening to this new music, whether it's hip hop, R&B, rock, or whatever, because even rock doesn't have as many solos as it did when I was coming up with Van Halen and so many groups. But there's something why is it sitting number one on the chart? Is because maybe it's their look, maybe it could be many things. So like I say, it's always good to get good out of something that you don't like, because it's a reason why it's doing as well as it's doing. So I just like to get along with everybody, you know what I mean? And find the good in everything. Keep me alive.
Yeah, well, I mean, that positive attitude and that element of positivity definitely came through in the film This Is It, and I just think it's a great aspect of yourself, Tommy. I absolutely love it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So what was your first big break in the music industry? When did you realize, hey, I'm making it here?
I did the Rhythm Nation tour in 91 with Janet Jackson, And I had just worked with Jimmy Jam and Terry on Alexander O'Neal's first album, met those guys, and those are some wonderful guys. And matter of fact, I was in a group called Tease, and we had a record deal on Epic and RCA Records in the 80s. And I was playing on stage with this band, and Jimmy Jam and Terry happened to come to one of our shows. And once I was finished with the show, they came over to me and said they wanted me to play in the studio with them. And I said, "Oh yeah, for sure." So they took me to the studio, and I played on Alexander O'Neal's album, a song called "Innocent." And from there on, a couple of years later, Janet was going on tour, and so I auditioned for Janet, and I mean that was the best tour of my life because prior to that I had been with Mickey Howard, Vesta Williams. This is straight out of the 12th grade. Dennis Edwards from the Temptations. I did a lot of sessions, man, for Thelma Houston, Gladys Knight, Ray Charles, and so forth. And but once I got with Janet in 1991, man, of course I was able to buy my first house. I was able to get a car that I liked, and so forth and so forth. So that's when it basically started for me during the years of 90 and 91. Yeah.
Wow, that's phenomenal. And it's incredible that you've actually had the opportunity to work with a range of people from the Jackson family, not only Michael, but also Janet, and then their other brothers as well.
Yeah, I worked with Marlon Jackson in the 80s. It was a TV show. I don't know if it was worldly, but I know in LA we had a show called Top of the Pops.
Yeah.
And I was called to play with Marlon Jackson on there. I had never met him before, but I used to get these calls because I come from a group of musicians that was known to be the best musicians in LA, when they had clubs where bands could play and do showcases and stuff. So, I feel blessed by that because then at that point, after my band got really known as being some of the best musicians, people would just call me, So Marlon's people called me and said, "Hey, you want to play with Marlon on this Top of the Pop show?" I'll say, "Hey, sure, I'll play with Marlon Jackson." So got to meet him. And then, matter of fact, before Marlon, or it could have been after Marlon, I can't quite grasp it, but I did a session with Randy Jackson. Some of Randy Jackson's people called me, and he had a band called Band of the Gypsies.
Yeah.
And I played on like 3 or 4 songs on that album in the studio. And it's so funny because when I was in the studio with Randy, I don't know, somebody cracked a joke or something like that, and I laughed, and Randy turned around to me and said, "Man, you remind me of my brothers." And I said, "Oh." I didn't say anything. I kind of held my composure, but I was like, oh. I was so excited by that, by him telling me that. And then after a while, man, I ended up at Michael Jackson's mom's and dad's house. They had a studio in the back. The bass player from my old group was on the staff at the studio that they ran at their home, and he called me to do some sessions and play on some songs. So I ended up going to his house and going to the studio. Michael wasn't there, and I don't think I met the mom or dad or anything. It was just my friend and the engineer. So went to his house and did a couple of sessions, and then after that, then Janet came. And then, of course, after that, years go by, Michael called me, and I mean, it just blew me away. Actually, Michael didn't call me, but Michael Bearden called me, and he's a great friend, very extraordinary, talented guy, man. And
he was the band leader, right? On This Is It rehearsals.
He's the musical director. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's phenomenal. I mean, you can just tell through watching the documentary how closely you guys all work together as a band. How long were the rehearsals in terms of, like, actually before the ones that we see on the film? How long were the rehearsal sessions taking place in terms of learning the music together?
When I came, I was the last person to come in, and so they had already been rehearsing. So what they had me do, they sent me CDs of all the songs, studio versions with no bass, no keyboards, just guitar tracks and stuff. And of course, I knew the songs already from growing up listening to Michael's music, and so I just took and took some hours and days to learn that stuff before I got there. And then when I went to the audition, I knocked it out, man. I mean, I stayed up, till the sun came up, man. I would start maybe at 9 o'clock in the evening, and it'd be 6 o'clock, man. And I would go over these songs, knowing that I knew them, but kept my ego and my arrogance down to a low level to where let me listen again because it might have been something I'm missing. Because see, Michael's music was real. It was a lot of simplicity in his music, and the secret to simplicity is not as easy as people think. Because simplicity, you can miss some things by putting in your mind like, oh, this is so simple. I know this, but through my experience, when you listen to it again, because this is how bad I wanted Michael's gig, man. I say, let me go back and listen to it again. So I listened to it again. I might find a note or something that I missed, man. And it took me two hard days to get it. And this was before I did the audition. And man, when I got to that rehearsal, I knocked it out. So I can't really say how long they was rehearsing before I got there, but when I got there, we might have did maybe almost a month before we went to the Forum in LA to do the big rehearsals. We went to the Forum, we were there maybe 2 months, and then we went to the Staples Centers for the remaining 3 or 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah. And with Michael's pieces, were there more challenging pieces to learn over others, would you say, or?
No, nothing extreme, man. Michael is talented. If he once he hears what you're doing, if he don't say nothing to you, you good. And everyone on that stage made sure they knew that music. So it was the few times that you see in the This Is It when he corrects a little certain things, those was the only times through the whole months that we were rehearsing that he ever said anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, when you watch the film, it's clear that his philosophy is to... I mean, he actually says it during The Way You Make Me Feel rehearsal. He's like, whatever the record's doing, that's what I want it to be like, whatever the record's doing.
Exactly. It was so much fun.
Look, I want to ask you what it was actually like being around Michael Jackson. What are some of your favorite memories of being around him?
Oh, man. Every day was good. Michael, he always stayed the same person. He never changed. He was always happy every day, positive. But I do recall one time he had this electronical spider on stage. And I mean, it was a big spider. It was going to come out on Thriller. And I couldn't actually hear what the directors was telling him, but all I saw was him try to get inside the spider. He thought he could ride the spider around the stage, and they was like, no, you can't get in it. We're going to control it. We need you to stand by it or do some kind of movement or something, man. And he started laughing first. So, Michael got this way of laughing, and you may not even know what he's laughing at, but he'll make you laugh.
Oh, man, that is awesome. It just sounds like there was so much positivity within those rehearsal sessions.
Oh man, those rehearsals, we wanted to be there, man. Every day I got up, man, I looked forward to going to work,
Yeah.
And everybody was always so, hey, how you doing? Everybody was just so the same. Like we were all supposed to be together on this tour, man. And that's the power and positivity that Michael brings around him. You want to do for Michael because he's not going to do nothing to you but love you and treat you fair. And hey, man, we all good. Come on up to the front with me, and we can play together. I'm not the star. You a star too. He's a beautiful man. He's a rare a person in this world. And we miss him a lot, man. But I say this, man. He's in a better place, man. And I'm going to keep this going, the legacy going as much as I can for him, because he set me up for something that only God can do. And I'm honored once again, and I appreciate being with Michael every day, when I think about it. And hey, man, I'm ready to live,
That's right, exactly. Hey, I want to ask you a little bit about Michael Bearden as well, and I want to find out if Michael Bearden and Michael Jackson together, did those guys have a lot of feedback for you on your playing? Were there ever any times there were professional discussions around your playing?
No. I know the night before Michael passed, the day before he passed, when I was doing the funky solo on "Wanna Be Starting Something," man, I did it, and I looked in his eyes, and he smiled at me, man. And I went back to my station afterwards, and he walked by me with his thumb up, saying, "That's it, Tommy. That's it." In other words, when you come up here, you look at me, you smile. Let's have fun. So
yeah, absolutely, incredible stuff. So I want to talk to you specifically about one song, and what I might do now is just play that for our listeners, and then we'll get talking about it. This is actually a performance from the film This Is It. We're going to play a little 30-second clip. Just at the end of Thriller, we can hear an interlude from a song called Threatened. Let's play that now.
Make sure that there's somebody waiting for Michael there with a flashlight and everything. Great.
That's a little clip from the film This Is It, and that's a instrumental interlude there that's actually taken from one of my favourite Michael Jackson songs, which is a song on the Invincible album called Threatened. Now, if you've ever heard the Invincible album, you'll know that there's a big electronic influence on there from Rodney Jerkins and his team. But when you hear that song in This Is It, there is a lot more focus on distorted guitar, and it sounds a lot more rock heavy. Was that a conscious change, or how did that happen? Because that's one of my favorite pieces of music from the whole film.
It was just yes, actually it was. We just came up and just started playing it, man, and left it where it was, and he came in and liked it.
It's incredible. I just feel like the distortion adds a much deeper, richer sound. Sure it does. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of the people I've spoken to about the film, that's just one of the highlights for them as well.
Yeah, he let the guitar players and most of the band just do what they did. He trusted us. He I guess he had other things to do. He do his thing and we do ours, and that's when you got a real good band.
Absolutely.
Like Hendrix said one time. I heard Jimi Hendrix tell this band, he's like, "Don't ask me. I'm over here doing my thing. You do your thing. I don't need to do that. I'm trying to handle my business, and I trust you guys. So let's just make some music, And that way, you're comfortable on stage. You don't have to look back and be pointing at people or nothing like that. You get the best, and you're going to be very successful by that.
Absolutely. Michael seemed very focused on getting his message of love and peace and humanitarianism just out there and looking after the planet. in the film This Is It. Was this true as well of your interactions with him? Were they things that he spoke about a lot?
Man, Michael is the truth. Michael is Michael. He will be the truth forever and ever, and special about it because not too many special people like Michael. Yes, he was the same every day. Truth. Had a big heart, loving, caring, care about how you feel. Always wanting to help you.
Yeah.
Hey, that's Michael.
Absolutely. Look, I'm gonna play another little clip now, if that's all right. This is one of my highlights from the film This Is It. It's you talking about Michael Jackson within the film, and then playing a little duet with another great guitarist by the name Orianthi. Let's have a listen to that now.
Yeah, my baby sister. Go ahead.
It's remarkable. It's some genius stuff going on over here, man. He is the king, and he's a good guy too. He's real humble, and he knows his music. What more can you ask for? Because I'm such a that flavor too.
Again, just brilliant stuff. Hearing those guitars wailing up on stage there between yourself and Orianthi, amazing.
Yes.
So obviously there were three guitarists on This Is It. There was Alex Al, the bassist. There was yourself and Orianthi. How come Michael Jackson had two main guitarists? How were your and Orianthi's roles different there?
Well, we would switch off. I would play rhythm most of the time, and she would play rhythm, and Mike always had the young ladies or young girls go do the guitar solos. So we worked real good together, And the thing about it is, Michael really never had like two guitar players that could solo and stuff. So when we created that part, Michael Bearden asked, we came to rehearsal, and Michael Bearden said Michael want to do like something that's rock between the two guitar players, because he wants to have two big Marshalls on stage, like extremely large. And what was going to happen was me and Orianthi would come out and bust through the amps, and there'd be rocks crumbling, and we'll go out and do this thing. So Orianthi just instantly went like, well, let check this out. And she started playing the lead line, and then everybody joined in, and then I joined in, and then that's how we created from that point on. Orianthi, you go first. You do 4/8 bars. Then I do 4/8 bars. Then you do 4/8 bars. I'll do 4/8 bars. Then we run up the ramp. We'll solo together and come down, and that would be the end. And the reason I got that role, I believe, is because every time Michael came in, man, to rehearsals, I would kick my pedal on and just do one screaming note to let him know I'm just not a rhythm player. I can solo too.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So I would just hit like a high note and, a couple of notes every time he came in. And from that point on, the next day, eventually Michael said, I want them two to solo, and I want him to come up front. Hey, matter of fact, one time Michael said, so you do the solo on Dirty Diana, right? And I was like, no. But in my mind, I'm like, I wish I could.
Oh, that's a great story. Look, we might wrap things up here, Tommy. I just want to say thank you again so much for joining us here on the MJCast.
Thank you so much. Can I give you something? I want to let the fans know that I have a Facebook account, and on my Facebook is Fans of Tommy Organ. Instagram is Tommy O Organ, and then Twitter is @TommyOOregon, and my website is www.tommyoOregon.com.
Brilliant. And what we'll do is we'll link to all of those different things in our show notes as well, so that when fans access our website and the show, they're going to be able to go straight there and find out about all the new Tommy Organ news that's coming out, including that album that we can't wait to hear coming out in 2016.
Yeah, that album is on the website.
It's all going to be on the website. You can find it all there. It's really exciting stuff.
Okay, exactly.
All right, Tommy. Well, we might leave things there. I just want to say thank you again for coming on the MJCast. We really appreciate it. I know you're running out of time there, but that's all good. And have a great rest of your day.
Oh, you do the same, man. I'll hear from you soon, okay?
You got it. Well, that's a wrap, folks. We sure hope you enjoyed our special interview with Tommy Organ, guitarist for Michael Jackson during the This Is It rehearsals in Los Angeles. What a brilliant guy, amazing individual, just great person to talk to. Unfortunately, we only had around 30 to 40 minutes to speak with Tommy there, and look, we did get to cover a range of topics. There were a few more that we wanted to touch on, but it was really important to Tommy that we kept the interview positive and focused on Michael's artistic creativity as much as possible within that interview. Hopefully you still enjoyed that one there. Look, how do you find the MJCast? Some of you might be wondering how do you get in touch with us, and how do you engage with our different networks, social networks? Well, look, it's really easy. The main place you want to go is the MJCast.com. If you go over to themjcast.com, you're going to see all of our shows, whether regular shows or specials, right there on that one page. You're also going to see a bunch of links just up the top in the menu there to all of our different platforms, social media platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Google+. We're all over the place. Like most of the time people want to subscribe to our show to listen to our podcast through, Apple's podcast application on the iPhone, the iPad. You can also check us out on iTunes, is another way to get our podcast, whether you're on a Mac or a Windows computer. You can subscribe to us through iTunes and listen to our show there. If you're on Android, there's some other podcasting applications out there that you can access. Obviously, Apple's podcast app isn't on Android or Windows Mobile, but there's a bunch of different ones out there you can get us through on those platforms. Some people also like to listen to our show through YouTube rather than dealing with a different podcast application to interact with the MJCast. They go straight to YouTube. We put all of our shows on there. It's just important to remember, though, as listeners, that our complete shows aren't on YouTube. Occasionally, due to copyright reasons, we have to edit particular segments out of shows to make sure they can go up on YouTube. So if you want to hear the full and complete version of the MJCast, make sure you're subscribing to our show directly through a podcast application. Look, we hope you have a great week ahead. Keep an eye out for more episodes of the MJCast coming out shortly. We're going to have a whole bunch more specials coming as well. We absolutely love speaking with people who knew Michael, interacted with him, worked with him professionally, and documenting their history. So thank you very much for your time, and keep Michaeling.